Hello everyone, my name is Samir Bhamra. As part of the Music Takeover season titled Sound on Screen, I hope you've enjoyed watching the film Gully Boy, directed by an extraordinary director, Zoya Akhtar. Gully Boy premiered at the Berlinale in February 2019 and was also India's official entry to the Academy Awards. Here I have with me Zoya Akhtar, who's joining in for a special in conversation. Hi Zoya. Thank you so much for doing this.
It's so nice. Not at all.
So let's start with the very first question, which is, how did you discover the story?
Actually, I was editing Dil Dhadakne Do, and my editor Anand Subaya, he's a musician, and so he was showing me videos on YouTube of what's going on, and I came across this video called Afat. The track was called Afat, and the artist was Naezy, also Nave Sheikh. And I was like, what is this? It was shot very cheaply on an iPhone or an iPad. It was shot like in Dharavi. And there was this like little scrawny kid with an insane vocal flow. And he was just singing about things we don't really hear about or talk about, which is his life and his existence and how the system treats him and his family, and basically things that we don't really hear. I just kept playing that video, and it was just stuck with me. And I knew that I showed it to my writing partner, Rima, and I'm like, I think there's a story here. And so I called up another friend of mine who's a musician, Ankur Tiwari, and he used to head MTV Indies in India. So he has roots in all the independent music scene. And I was like, do you know who this kid is? And he said, yeah, he's this like 21-year-old Muslim kid from Dharavi called Naved Sheikh. And I'm like, can I find him? And he hooked it up and had organized a meeting for me with him for half an hour. It turned out to be a 4-hour meeting. And that's where it started.
Oh wow! I mean, it's an incredible film, and
Thank you.
One of the things that I loved about it, I watched it in Berlin when it premiered twice.
I was there.
Yes, you were there. Yes, yeah, in your beautiful white sari.
Yes.
One of the first things about the movie that struck me was the opening sequence when Mubin, who Vijay Verma plays, comes out in this almost 70s style Don, but relevant to today kind of attitude, his swagger, and he's going to go in. And, we always think the opening credit has to be the male lead. And here you subverted all of that, and everyone is almost like a hero in their own story. And how did that sort of come about, that opening scene?
The thing was that he is not an alpha character yet. He's not the leader of a pack yet. He's just somebody that's under the radar and quiet and doing his thing. And we wanted to start the film to give a kind of feel of the street, to give a sense of, eventually you realize that he could have been this. He could have been Moeen, Yeah. And a lot of people questioned me that how did Ranveer was okay to be out of focus in his first shot and he was just walking behind. And you don't think of those things really, because when you're shooting it, you're just going with the story. And we wanted to stick to the narrative and placing the character where he belongs in the milieu. And that was it. It was just a character-driven decision. And he's somebody that is he's somebody that's a follower. He's somebody that is quiet and keeps to himself and does his thing and is not out there taking charge of too many things. Even when he meets Sher, when he goes to Sher's house and they walk down the corridor, he's the one at the back. And the only time that he is in the front is at the end when he walks into the club and all his friends are with him. So it's pretty subtle, but it was something planned, Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And how did the casting of Ranveer take place then?
I've worked with Ranveer and I've been friends with Ranveer for years. And I know what hip hop means to Ranveer. He absolutely loves hip hop. He knows various tracks of various artists by heart. He performs them all the time. So he's somebody who's a closet rapper, who had been a closet rapper. He's a Bombay boy. He's grown up in, bred here. So he has the lingo down pat, the street lingo down pat. He's a great actor. And I mean, there was no reason to not have him. He's just a perfect fit for it. Also, he and me get on very well. So, those things matter.
Of course. You picked up on lingo, and so I thought I'll ask the question about lingo right now. Did you bring in a diction coach, or how did that?
Yeah, we worked with, yes, we had diction coaches. Firstly, I had a really good dialogue writer, Vijay Moria. So he did the first pass on it, because Rima and me write all the dialogue in English, and that's what we're comfortable with. So he came in and he did a dialogue pass, and then what I did was I worked with 4 rappers. 4 of the rapper kids. So, out of that, there was what you call Emiway, who's Muslim. There was MC Altaf, who's Muslim. And then there was Rahul Piske. And then there was another guy called Kambhari, who's Maharashtrian. So because I needed Sher and I needed Murad and I needed that tongue, And the thing about Bombay is that it's so mixed, it's so cosmopolitan on a level. Like, we have people from every state here. That, I mean, you don't even know that certain words are Gujarati and certain words that you say are Punjabi, and you've just grown up hearing everything. And that's the beauty of this city. So all of it gets squashed into one hybrid language, And the street slang is very different. I mean, these kids are like 20 years younger than me. And so it was, there's no way I would know it. So I had these 4, and they came in and they did a pass on all the dialogue, And then we had a girl who is a medical student, who is from that milieu. We had her record all of Alia's dialogue. So Alia had an accent that she was working with, So we worked, everybody had a coach, so it worked.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Speaking about Alia, there are a couple of her memorable scenes in the film.
नाखूनों के निशान परमानेंट तो नहीं है ना?
अलबीना बोली पहले तूने हाथ उठाया उस पे?
झूठ बोल रही है वो।
मुराद कौन है?
वो आप जानते हैं ना उसको, मेरे स्कूल में था।
कौन?
रजिया का लड़का? हाँ। अब्बू को टिफिन भेजती थी। अलबीना मुराद को वैलेंटाइन वाले मैसेज भेजती है। क्या? हाँ। तो मुराद बोला मुझको कि इसको बोल ऐसे मत करे करके। ये झूठ बोल रही है अब्बू। उसका फोन चेक कर लो ना अंकल। अब्बू आप मेरा फोन कैसे चेक कर सकते? और जब मैंने उसको मना किया तो फिर गाली दी मुझको। फिर मैं उसको थोड़ा मारी। क्या झूठी है रे तू?
ये सब क्या है फिर?
ये सब तो टाइम पास है अब्बू। सच्ची बोलूं, मैं सच्ची बोलूं तो मुराद और ये ना स्कूल से चक्कर चल रहा है इन लोग का। कुछ भी एकदम बकवास। चेक कर लो, आप मेरा फोन चेक कर लो, चेक कर लो।
ये सब के लिए मैं माफी चाहता हूँ। चलो।
क्या चल रहा है ये सब?
किधर क्या चल रहा है? अच्छा, तो मैं आप लोग के पीठ पीछे
I mean, I knew when this character was actually written by Rima for another script. And that script didn't happen for some reason, and I never forgot her. So what I did was, when we started writing Gully Boy, I was like, I want Safina. So we took her out of one story and we adapted her to this story. So obviously things changed and her kind of world changed and stuff, but her core remained the same. And when we took her, I knew it was Alia, because Alia has that very cherubic, angelic, absolute innocent, young face, but she is so bright and she's such a strong actor that that she can play that duality really, really well. So I always knew it was going to be Alia. Like, Rima and me were both very clear that we wanted to approach her for it. And we got lucky that she fell for Safina as hard. But the way we see Safina is somebody who's really, really a bright girl. You know, she's got dreams, she's got hope, she's quite straight-laced actually, you know, but she wants to do what she wants to do, and she's determined and she's ambitious for her life. And she's somebody that, you know, maybe grew up being a bit of for lack of another word, like a tomboy while she was growing up. She was somebody very comfortable with the opposite sex. And then because she's a girl, had to change the way she behaved and the way she dressed and the way she addressed people and the interactions she could have and the freedom that was given to her, because when she hit puberty, and it's somebody that has immense anger because of that, because she doesn't feel life is fair. And she's suffering her own discrimination, which is gender. And Murad is this person in her life that is completely freeing for her. He's her childhood sweetheart, and he's somebody that treats her like a god, and he doesn't see any difference in them. So he's her on a level. He's the love of her life, but he also signifies freedom to her because he just lets her be who she is. And when that is threatened, she flips out. And I feel like because she's somebody her mother has beaten, she knows the language of violence, because violence is a language. And if you if you hit children, they learn to communicate in that way. They learn to hit because they feel that that's a form of communication. So that's basically the way we saw Safina.
I heard a little rumor that when you cast Alia, that she was so focused onto the role that you almost uncast her because she wanted sessions or meetings or something.
No, we never uncast her. But I was in the middle of doing Made in Heaven. And she was like wanting to, you know, start readings. And I was like, we have time. And then, you know, her manager called me, the head of the agency called me. Everybody was like, can you please meet Alia? Because she's very dogged and she works very, very hard. She takes nothing for granted. But that's amazing, you know.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Coming to Cher, you know, casting Siddhant, how did you find him? And what made it firstly like, you know, this is the man?
He is my luck by chance story. I didn't have anyone. I didn't like anybody, and I didn't really want anyone from the established space anyway. And I just didn't like anybody we were testing. I wanted somebody fresh. And I was 3 weeks away from shoot. And I didn't have an actor, and it's a lead part, like it's a huge part. And I just happened to go for a party, an XL party, which was celebrating something happened for them. I don't even remember what. And I went to that party, and there was this skinny guy dancing on the floor. And I was like, who's this guy? Because he had such rhythm and he could move. And finally we started chatting, and he was like, and I was like, are you an actor? And he's like, you've obviously not seen my work in Inside Edge. He did a show for XL. And I was like, no, I didn't know you were an actor. And he was like, I said, but you dance really well. And he's like, well, I've been dancing to get your attention. So I thought that was pretty smart of him, because he did get my attention. And I told him I was casting a film and would he like to audition? And he said, yeah. And he came in the next day and we auditioned him, and it was a very, very good test. I sent him the script that night. I said, can you read it? And if the part works for you, I'd love you to do it. So he read the script that night, and he called me the next morning, and he was on. And I was in my production meeting. We had already started the PPM of the film. We were that close to shoot. And I was like, I don't know what you're going to do, but I need you to get big. I need you to put on weight. I need you to get big. And he just lived, I think he moved into the gym. But he just delivered.
Yeah,
It was a chance meeting. It was just amazing.
So in that scene with Cher, you know, it's the halls of, it's the college. There's a performance taking place, and I love incredibly how you've subtly reconditioned gender politics within that. So, you know, you've got the female performer playing something. She's taken off because of, you know, the way male conditioning is, and he starts to challenge that. And I think that's a thread that I often see in some of your past films as well. Is that conscious? Is that...
I think it is conscious on a level, because I think you know, it's important to have strong women in films, but it's equally important to have sensitive men. And it's equally important to see that, you know, because you don't need everyone to be a particular kind of macho. Macho comes in many packages, and you know, masculinity comes in many ways, and there's no one way to be the hero. There's no one way to save the girl. There's no one way to be the one that's going to save the day, as opposed to challenging the norm of it, as opposed to showing a mirror, as opposed to. So I think it's important for me, as much as I want to see strong women, it's very important for me to see men that are slightly more in tune with their femininity, you know. I like men that are a little more awake to that, in a sense. You know, they're not just cut off and this is how we are meant to be and this is our role and this is who we are, and trapped in that. I like men that are a little more fluid, a little more sensitive, a little more, you know. So I mean, then I think I'm just projecting what I want in the world.
And the sensitivity, I think, is also equally captured really well in the scene when Murad is driving his employer's daughter back home from the party.
कहने को हम पास हैं पर कितनी दूरी है, ये भी कैसी मजबूरी है। तुमसे हमदर्दी भी नहीं कर सकता मैं, मेरे बस की बात नहीं है। मैं ये बहते आंसू पोंछूं, इतनी मेरी औकात नहीं है। मैं भी यही हूँ, तुम भी यही हो, पर सच ये है मैं हूँ कहीं, तुम और कहीं हो। कहने को हम पास हैं पर कितनी दूरी है, ये भी कैसी मजबूरी है।
It came from an incident that actually happened with me, because a while back, and I remember I was somewhere and I had a not a very pleasant experience, and I was crying and I was in my car, and I came home and it struck me that my driver has been with me for years and I know he really likes me and I really like him. And if it was reversed and if he's crying, I'd be very worried and I would have the space to be like, what happened? And can I help you? And are you okay? But I realized that he didn't. And I'm sure he was worried about me, you know, and he didn't. And he didn't because we put up these barriers. We just have these walls that keep us separate. And it's I mean, in my case, and in the girl's case here, it's a double whammy because it's not just a class barrier, but it's also a gender barrier with women in India. You know, you have to keep a certain, you're conditioned, you're taught to keep a certain distance because it's not safe. It's as simple as that. That's what you're taught. And with Murad, it was like, he knows he wants to ask her if she's okay because that's humanity. But class trumps that. You know, your position, the way we've structured our society, class, caste, religion, economics, everything seems to be bigger than humanity. And I felt that if you can somehow make people feel that in a very simple way, that would be, and which fit the thread of our story, that would be good.
And you do that also with the scene with the girl's dad when he asks him, what are you studying?
What kind of a job are you going to get without a proper qualification?
I'm a graduate. That is a proper qualification.
तुम?
जी सर।
कहाँ तक पढ़े हो?
सर मेरा लास्ट ईयर है ग्रेजुएशन का.
Did you hear that? Everyone is a graduate today, and you want to be on the same level as he is.
I mean this because I've become aware to this, and a while back, luckily, but we behave like they're not there. I know people sitting in a car going like, no, I'm alone, I'm alone. You're not alone. There's another human being driving you. There's a person there. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a robot. Like, you know, he's talking about Murad as though Murad's not there.
Yeah.
You know, he's assuming Murad can't understand him. Yeah. He's assumed that this person can't speak English or even understand English.
Yeah.
He told him, I'm graduating. These are assumptions. And frankly, even if he knows he can, he doesn't really care of what that means or what another human being feels.
You worked with so many rappers in the film, but you also made your dad,
yeah,
who's known for beautiful poetry, learn the meter and write lyrics. How did all that happen?
You know, because Murad is a poet. So Murad's poems, his shairs and all were written by my dad. And I wanted this particular thing to be like, he's in the car, he has this experience that kind of affects him when the girl is crying and he can't speak to her. I wanted that to become something he writes, like a poem in his head, which is the poem that goes on when he's driving. And then he takes that poem and now he wants to make it into rap. He wants to take it. So you see the process of a piece of work that comes out. It's something that's personal, something that affects you, and how that morphs into the way you express it. And then you take that expression and then you have to make that expression into something that you can share. You understand? So the poem was written by my dad. And then I wanted that to become the song. But I wanted to retain my dad and I wanted it to have Divine. So I got them together.
Then we could go into one of the key raps when, you know, he's Murad is having a rap off and he's accused of being poor.
क्या हो गया गली बॉय? हार्ट अटैक?
बहुत मस्त बोला तू, सुना मैंने, अब नाचू क्या? बहाता हूं मैं खून पसीना, अब बहाऊंगा मैं तेरे आंसू क्या? 2 ही 3 जोड़ी कपड़े पास मेरे, इन कपड़ों को मैं बार बार पहनूं लेकिन हर बार लगूं मैं ठासू क्या?
Nobody says that, you know, oh, you're lucky and you're blessed that you are, you know, you come from a place of privilege. And but coming from a place of privilege and coming from that with that kind of education and that kind of background and all, should have actually enabled you to see another person that doesn't come from the place of privilege and therefore not judge it. You know, and when you do that, then you need to be told, honey, like there's a problem here, you know, because you laughing at me for what I don't have, but you only got it because of where you're from. And I'm not going to diss you for that, but don't diss me for my lack. And I think that understanding needs to happen.
In the film, Sher plays Murad's mentor, but I hear that during the filming of it, it was the other way around.
Right. Well, it was the other way around because it was his first film, and he'd never done a movie before, and it was his first thing, and he was here, and it was very overwhelming on a level. He's a kid, and there was Ranveer, who's been there, done that, and is an old strong hand. So he just took him under his wing and coached him, and it was actually the reverse of what was happening behind the scenes. It was good.
And so were they bouncing off each other? Because, you know, quite often directors tend to, I watched the Frankenstein at the National Theatre some time back, played by two amazing lead actors, Benedict Cumberbatch and I forget the other actor. And they were, one day one was playing Frankenstein, the other day the other one was playing
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So they were both learning about each other's characters at
That's
the same
fantastic.
time. And so this is what it reminded me of, is when I learned about that, is that here's the director saying, well, you're going to be playing him, learn from him, and you're going to learn from him.
Yeah. It was pretty interesting, because it would be completely the opposite equation off screen, and then the camera would come on and the equation would just flip. You know, wow. It was nice. Yeah.
And let's talk about Dharavi, because you've shot the film, some very fantastic sequences in Dharavi, but also you worked a lot with the people who live there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, like all the background, all the extras, everyone in the film is from there. Like that we shot with over there. It made perfect sense. I mean, we were really lucky, because my production designer, we couldn't build a set. It would have been completely fake. So she was like, find me a plot of land. And at the same time, you can't go in there and take over people's homes, because they are working. You can't disturb them. We had a good 5-week shoot there. So you can't just go in there and be like, we are taking over your life now. You know, we're shooting nights, we're shooting days. You can't disturb a community. So we found an empty lot, like a parking lot in the middle of Dharavi, a small parking lot, and we built Murad's house there. So what we did was we actually constructed our set in the middle of Dharavi. So we were still ensconced, and we were still like a private, so we didn't really disturb the larger area, but we were part of the larger area. So every time you were external, you had the whole thing around you. It wasn't fake. So that really helped. And, we were, initially people were worried you're taking big stars and you're going there, security, this, that. It was the best shoot I have ever had in India on an outdoor location. They are so used to shoots, because foreign films are always shooting there. They're so used to cameras, and they're so busy. They're all working. They're all making a living. They don't have the time for you. And they have respect. They look at shooting like you're working. You know, they don't look at it like everyone's having a party and let's attack the actors. Not at all. They'd be walking on the footbridge. Ranveer is standing there. They'd say hello and walk past. They wouldn't even take a picture. They were just so respectful, you know. And it was like nobody bothered. Nobody would come and do things. I mean, it was just one of the best shooting experiences I have had in India. It was amazing.
I mean, I think shooting that music video in the slum is, one person said to us, is that that's probably their favorite part, and capturing that energy, but also making it look high fashion in a way is incredible.
Yeah, it was a music video, so we wanted it to pop a little bit, you know.
Zoya, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Can I ask, is Made in Heaven 2 happening?
You know, we wanted to happen, we have it written, but COVID happened and everything was pushed. And now, because it's a show set in Delhi, and the thing is, it's not a contained show. Everything is a wedding, everything is a sangeet, everything is just extras. So we're very worried to just take so many people and start shooting there. We have to figure it out. We are trying to go in Feb, and hopefully the situation will be better. So fingers crossed.
Well, that was I think the last question that someone had asked as well. Thank you, Zoya.
Not at all. Thank you
all
so
the best. God bless.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.